Hi everyone, today we'll be looking at mechanical properties. This is chapter 6 in accordance to your notes. Basically the mechanical properties of especially metals can be described in terms of the elastic stiffness, plastic yielding, tensile strength, ductility, hardness, toughness, fracture, fatigue, creep resistance, and those are properties which help in designing particular materials for certain applications. If you know that you want to design a turbine blade, you'd require a metal with a high level of creep resistance, for example. You see that if now you want to design a spring, and the spring, let's say, use it for a shock absorber in cars, right? For in case, let's say, you hit a pothole, so that the car would not actually would be able to bounce. Do you understand? Absorb all that shock. You'll be looking at properties like elastic stiffness of the material. So it's quite important to actually be familiar with mechanical properties, especially when you're designing certain components for varying applications. And the second thing is that these mechanical properties have been found to depend on the atomic bonding, on a microscopic level, atomic bonding of the atoms, the crystal structure, whether it's a BCC, FCC, or HCP. Generally, you'll find that HCP, they are the most brittle, right? So it means they break easily, and then you find that BCC is also a little more, not as brittle as HCP, but FCC are actually metal that are more ductile because there are a number of slip systems. They have a high also have a high atomic packing factor. And another thing is dislocation density as well. It also affects the mechanical properties, as well as alloying elements. When you add certain alloys to manipulate the properties of a metal, or you want to actually, let's say you want to have corrosion resistance, what you do is that you put chrome into the carbon steel, so that you make it to become corrosion resistant. And that's just one of the typical examples. And then also the microstructure. Microstructure also determines or affects the mechanical properties. So the nature of your microstructure, if you know what kind of properties you want to have in a metal, you can actually do heat treatment, right, to actually accomplish certain microstructural properties that will make sure that you have an outcome of certain mechanical properties. So that's just like a summative perspective of why mechanical properties, especially in metals, we also have polymers and other materials that actually also have their mechanical properties. But in NMC, most importantly, we look at metals quite a lot. So there has been experimental work used to actually characterize these mechanical properties, and the graphs you see on my screen now is these are stress strain curves. Stress strain curves. Typically these are used to represent the components or the factors that affect mechanical properties in terms of your applications. But when you look at the drawing on the right hand side, you see a comparison between the more ductile material and the brittle material. You see that now when you stretch or you apply a tensile force, say you have a let me just a cylindrical beam or whatever that is, and you pull here. Let's say you're pulling both sides. Now there's some materials that they can actually stretch, right, for a longer a longer distance. So it means that maybe well, obviously when you stretch, the material is going to become thinner and thinner, right? It's going to become thinner and longer, right? And you stretch it again, and you find that it extends over some time and over the force that you applied on it, right? And then some can do that for a number of stress levels being applied to it, and then they eventually fail. Those are ductile materials because they experience a longer strains than the more, let me just say this is ductile, and then the more brittle material, you find that say this is initially you're pulling or you're applying a uniaxial tensile force to the material, and upon stretching it doesn't really extend a lot before it starts to break, or actually just break. It's brittle, it breaks easily. Do you see that? So it means that the strain is actually for a brittle material is actually less than the strain for the ductile material. All these material types obviously have their own applications, because mostly with brittle materials you find that they have a higher yield strength. Like in this case, you can see actually the strength or the hardness of brittle materials is much higher than that of the ductile material. You can actually see if you compare maybe this point and this point. So yeah, basically that's the difference. And okay, now we're going to go into defining stresses, defining strain mathematically, right? And then let me just go to the drawing on the left. This point here, this apex here, is actually known as the ultimate tensile strength, or simply put, usually tensile strength. So it's actually the maximum amount of allowable stress that the material can experience, right, before it starts necking. Necking meaning that now you reach a point when you stretch a material that the deformation stops becoming uniform, meaning that the change in the cross-sectional area, right, this, when you're looking at it from this side, when you stretch the material until the ultimate tensile strength point or the maximum point, the change in area is actually constant, right? But after it has reached that maximum tensile strength, it starts to neck, meaning that there's like a non-uniform deformation of the material. And then here you have fracture strength, right? Fracture strength is actually the strength at the point of fracture. So just before the material actually breaks, or as the material is about to break, right? As the material is about to break, at that point we say that that's the fracture toughness. It's about to actually become two pieces here. That's actually the fracture toughness. So that's actually the strength of the material at the time when it's fracturing. And while the corresponding value, you see that it's actually the strain. You have a particular strain at that point of fracture, and then obviously you have a particular strain at that optimal point, or the ultimate tensile strength. And then you also have another important component. This is the yield point. This is the yield point. This point, yield point, or yield point characterized by the yield strength, right? Yield strength. Okay, so the yield point is actually is a transitional strength that when the material it's a pivotal point, let me say that, the strength below this point, in fact, below the yield point is elastic. That would mean that any point below the yield point is an elastic point of the material, meaning that the material, especially in metals, the material, when you stretch it, right, let's say you apply a tensile uniaxial tensile force here, and then the material stretches, right? It stretches as you pull it, and while you're actually below, like the yield strength, right, or the yield point, if the force or the loading is actually released, the atoms inside the material will go back to the way it was. So it means that if the force is released, the material will go back to the way that it was, and then it's elastic. That's when we say something is elastic. But any point above, right, any point above the yield point or the yield strength, let's say between the ultimate tensile strength and the yield strength, for discussion purposes. Now, once you've stretched the material beyond that point, the material is going to stretch, or it's going to deform, so to say. It's a deform. That's permanent deformation, meaning that it's upon release of the force, right, upon release of the stress on the material, it will not go back to the way it is. So the atom arrangement will be distorted. It will not go back to the way that it is. So this is this area, right? It's the elastic region. This is the elastic region. Obviously, you have there's a maximum strain in the elastic region, and then the maximum stress in the elastic region, we call it the yield point. And then here, between the yield point and the ultimate tensile strength, you have what we call permanent deformation, or the permanent deformation region, or let's just say this is where permanent deformation takes place. Now this is uniform, right? Uniform permanent deformation. The reason I'm saying it's uniform is because the area is reducing uniformly, right? It's reducing uniformly with the increased strength. Once it has reached this maximum ultimate tensile strength, it is in a region which you call a non-uniform permanent deformation. Well, what that basically means is that beyond that point, the reduction in area of the material, the cross-sectional area of the material, is not uniform anymore. It's reducing at different rates. It's fluctuating, so it's not uniform. It's non-uniform, but it's still permanent deformation. Okay, those are in accordance to the representing diagram, the stress strain curve. Those are like some of the basic concepts that we'll actually be discussing throughout chapter 6, and we'll actually exploit other properties, and then that's basically it. But for this video, it was an introductory video, so I hope that you understood everything that I mentioned in this particular video, and I'll see you on the next one shortly.